Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time we got a nice little chit chat with Herlock Sholmes, the legally distinct, detective of this game. And this time before I think we're going to be allowed to investigate the next door cabin, I think we're going to have a chit chat with this fine gentleman right here who looks awfully familiar, if I do say so myself. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh. No, it's just that the crewman's standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh, yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes, what can I do for you? Oh, that's literally him. I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is! Yeah, he's coughing blood too. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? Also, why are you holding your arm like that still? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Yeah, let's have a nice little chat with him. Special orders. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. You probably can't tell us. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asoji-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku. Wait. Yeah, Jigoku, who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asoji-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that have even been a possibility? Yeah, why is he on someone's list? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asoji-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asoji-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector? So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. Yeah, you want to help us investigate? Please, I want to go next door. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, we need to be allowed out of the cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. What? That is quite dramatic. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Yeah, do you know I'm a stowaway? Like, were you aware of that? Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm gonna need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select Present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. I always love it when like characters in game quite literally explain like game mechanics to you. I always find that so funny and ridiculous. So evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with evidence that he needs to persuade the captain. Alright, backing out here, move to present. It's probably just gonna be the seal again, right? Let's present that. Ah, this is the paper seal that was stuck over the wardrobe doors this morning, isn't it? That's right, to try and stop the cabin steward opening it up and discovering me. Wouldn't it have been better to write in English if you didn't know Russian? Maybe, but Fuda paper amulets like this are a part of our culture, Inspector. And I thought that if I made it look creepy enough, people would be too scared to want to look inside. Why can't I speak? It isn't easy being a stowaway, is it? That wasn't it? What? How was that not it? Hang on. I feel like maybe it could be... Actually, I don't know what it could be now. I'm gonna try this one, because maybe this is related to, like, the room next door. Oh, the music stops. Maybe that's it. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. See, I was thinking about this, right? I don't think the book really proves our innocence like he was asking us, but it gives us reason to go next door. Yeah. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asaji-san safe. That is the least I can do. Thank you. God, this guy is such a bro. I like him. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move, and then we can leave this cabin at last. Move? Alright, let's see what we can find out. Surprised the other, like, crewmate is fine with this, you know? First class. Okay, we can't go straight to the cabin. We gotta go to the passageway first, it would seem. Which makes sense. What is that outside the door? 9th of January, 7:48 a.m. Phew! I'm finally out of that cabin. I know, he's been in there for like weeks. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being set on a study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really, that must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman. Keep a watch. And he looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. Yeah, his shirt doesn't quite fit him, it would seem. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like, people in handcuffs? Yeah, does he not, like, notice us? Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, I haven't been outside the dang room at all. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Cosmo's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Alright, I probably should examine stuff out here before I go into the next cabin. I guess we'll start on the dude real quick. Let's see if he has anything to say. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid. Oh. You seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Susato-san. I'm not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman. Oh my gosh, dude. Beef Stroganoff. That is quite the name, I will say. Oh my gosh. Phew. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. First class cabin area. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first class cabin area. Here we are in the finest part of Bura steamship for very important persons. What kind of a very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asoji's currently occupied? Ah! Or da. Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes. Or no. It's yes. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Oh, I bet if I tried to go, he probably would have stopped me. So it's a good thing I talked to him anyway. Well, it sounds like there's somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yeah, it's probably Herlock. Yes, it's tantalizing. Alright. Oh yeah, I guess who is the actual passenger in the cabin though? Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asoji's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. Grimsby Roylott? Grimsby Roylott. Grime. I'm gonna go with Grim. No, I'm gonna go with Grime. I think Grime is probably correct. His name is Mr. Grimesby Roylott. He's a very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is an authentic Western gentleman. Well, I mean, when was the last time you heard this argument, right? Let's see how that turned out. Such a man would have no interest in a lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Interesting. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Let's talk about last night. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? Yeah, all the time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. I don't like how he hesitated there. You know, with all the little ellipses. I wonder if he wasn't, or if he was distracted somehow. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Yeah! Susato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said no! Sorry! I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. Yeah, he's clearly, like, negligent or lying to me. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Well, I didn't get a chance to go in. Bulkhead to second class area, staying locked at all times. You escape when lobster whistles on the top of the mountain, or as English say, when pigs fly. Is that an actual saying in Russia? Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definite. Whoa, okay. So he's just gonna say, okay, go back to your cabin. And then he's gonna leave. And then not make sure we get there. That seems a little fishy. Alright. Let's investigate this area real quick, real fast. That book on top of the table there really is huge. There's a pen with it, too. Yes, I'm sure that's the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? Why is it here in this hallway, though? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. Anyway, look here. Last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Presumably, you say? Well, maybe he just wasn't, you know, doing his job and not writing it all in. That's the way to the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. That's probably right. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. I was gonna say, like surely you wouldn't do that, but I guess it's not possible to, like, avoid thinking about that even for just a moment. This looks like a plan for the SS Bira. It shows each deck. Look. There's only 2 decks. The Bira is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. You don't know how boats work, you stupid idiots. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth. Many, many times larger than this ship. Well, the islands aren't just floating in the ocean, they're attached to the land. Like they're attached to the earth. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. Okay, so they just believe that. Okay. I don't think I see anything else here. Let's go to the other side. This looks like some kind of a lamb. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this. No, what? What do you... Why would you even think of doing that? He's giving into his intrusive thoughts there, I see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. Well, it's not an emergency anymore. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. Oh, this is like a new animation for her, isn't it? If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Ah, I wish everything would just stop. The ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Alright, I want to see. What the heck is this thing down here? Oh, a trap for catching that's a mouse trap? What? Yes, we have plenty of these back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Like, why is that thing so huge and round? Oh, let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called. Cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really, but... What, were you thinking of eating the cheese? Excuse me? But, oh, I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. Yeah, but but you just said that he doesn't eat chicken or whatever. It was chicken, right? Or something like that. Like, it doesn't sound like leftovers. It sounds like you were getting the things you just didn't want. Yeah. You don't know how hungry have been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. Alright, and this is the door that we just came out of. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin. It's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? Yeah, they're probably either very small or you're kind of grouped up, if I had to guess. Okay, it seems like we investigated everything. Let's investigate this door now. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Yeah, it's gonna be Herlock that answers surely, right? No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Oh! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. Oh, he's not here. Oh, okay. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes! I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. I like that pose of his he just did. I just gotta kick something in, you know? Oh! Who are you? A Western gentleman. This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. Well, in that case, who just screamed? Get out! All of you! Now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Sherlock Holmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I'm a great detective among great detectives. One who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. This man uses that magazine like a business card. I don't like how vain he is. Sherlock wasn't that vain, was he? A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold to ask you to open that small traveling kit? You're joking, you mean, man. What? Don't be stupid! How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionably these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Ah! Oh my. Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Cosimo's neighbor, Mr. Grimesby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Wait, didn't I just say that in my head? Hang on. What? Okay, so that's got to be a game error, right? Because he just said that in his head, but she just agreed to that. Unless that's foreshadowing that Susato here is a mind reader. Oh, whatever. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. I want... okay, what? My man, why are you in there? Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call upon my great powers of detection into service. Oh. And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on, for once. Yeah, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. Do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian? Hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Oh, there's a lot of greats in there, huh? Could this man be a more hackneyed... I've never seen that word before. Hackneyed? Hackneyed? Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness? Or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I'm sorry, what did you just say? He's Russian because he's dubious? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh. I must have complete... I'm sorry. Shh. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached I can't speak again. I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. I'm gonna see something real quick before we proceed. Is he this man? No, he's not that man, okay. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I've drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with a nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Ugh! Oh, his face turned like blue there for a second. Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction. Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? One ineffable twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then, I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us aboard the train of reasoning. But plainly, let us work through my deductions together. Oh, this is something. Topic 1. Old man's identity. Oh, this is cool. How animated this is. So the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. Why would he do that, though? The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Is it to change your identity? Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular, the fascinating front page article. Which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott? I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about your revolutionary. Yeah, but that can't be him. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. A revolutionary on the run. Topic 2, a wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there! Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Oh! And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps. One slight enough to fit therein. I'd have to be an awfully small lady, I gotta say, though. Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we're not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glances to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. He's gonna say it's the woman that's gone missing, right? For there's another, most stimulating article. If returned from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Kidnapping of a young ballerina. Alright. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma. Elemensky. That was really cool and well animated, I have to say. So I assume that's going to be like a reoccurring game mechanic. Susato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Yeah, it seemed to be something like stupid, like he was using like the scissors to cut, you know, do some arts and crafts, and I don't know, the case moved because there's a bird inside and the bird screamed, I don't know. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions, would you mind? Not at all, go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Oh, yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. Well, he could, yeah, he said I looked like this guy. So ridiculous. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the misleading ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Yeah, sure, the math checks out there, I guess. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. Ugh, this whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. Yeah, they're baloney. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Susato. It's just one or two key words in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. That makes no sense, my man. This man is a lot of work. At times I wonder how anyone puts up with me. Ah! It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry. Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? What? Ah, why are your handcuffs? How did that happen? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. He took off my cuffs without me realizing? What? And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. Did he take them off just so I can do the objection pose or whatever? Because this seems like it's going to be like court, where I have to like present evidence and point out inconsistencies, you know, but it's like just a conversation we're having out here in the wild. So, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Topic 1, old man's identity, a revolutionary on the run. So the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. So there's the key word there. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott, either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here, Mr. Naruhodo-san, and see if that helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. we don't manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Well, why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in the last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Alright, guys, I think this episode has gone long enough. I hope you enjoyed. Next time, we'll definitely start doing this corrections here of his deductions. This seems like a very interesting idea, I have to say. I'm really excited and looking forward to it. But yeah, you guys can look forward to that next time. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day, guys. Bye!